Good morning. I am welcoming Beth Derry today, who is the director of the Lemon Street Gallery here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And Lemon Street Gallery is a nonprofit business, which interests me a lot because we've been talking to small businesses who are for profit and how they've been shifting, what if they've applied for any of our assistance loans and things like that. So today, we're going to get a different perspective on a small business. So welcome, Beth. Let me hear some shameless promotion. Tell us about Lemon Street for anybody who does not know what Lemon Street Gallery is.
Well, good morning, Vicki, and thank you so much for having me, first of all. Lemon Street Gallery is a nonprofit artist cooperative in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and we started in 1999 with a very small group of artists, 13 artists, who thought it would be really cool to exhibit work together. And throughout the years, we have really grown to represent right around 80 artists that are in the southeastern Wisconsin, northern Illinois area. I think that Lemon Street is really kind of the jewel of Kenosha. We are, as I said, a nonprofit, and we have kind of a very convoluted, three-pronged mission statement. If you talk to people about Lemon Street, they will maybe think of us as different things. You can ask three different people, they'll have three different ideas of what we are and what we do, because we are a place in which people can really exhibit their work. We're a cooperative, so all of our artists are members who exhibit their work there. And that's one part of our mission, is to give artists a professional venue in which they can exhibit and sell their work. We also offer affordable art classes to the community, and we also partner with different organizations to provide their arts programming. And that's what our mission is really all about. So the things that we do support those things, those areas in one way or another. We have just been able to find some really good talent in this area, and we're so very fortunate that after 20 plus years, people are really coming to us, and we're seeing sort of a full circle. The kids that we taught when they were in middle school are now becoming artists. They're now becoming art purchasers. It's this generation now that we're seeing come full circle, which is really fabulous for us. We've started different initiatives in the community which have been very well received. The Union Park Arts District, we're kind of the center of that, the home of it. We dug our heels in 20 years ago and said we're going to be an arts district, and it's happening. We adopted Union Park, which is a small neighborhood mini park, and we worked with different artists and wrote grants to be able to beautify the park. We have mosaic planters at every corner. We have sculpture in the park, which we were one of the first places to have public sculpture. And that again was through different grants that we've written and working with the city administration to create this space. So the big part of that has evolved is that we now have for the second year the art market. So the Kenosha Art Market is homed in Union Park, and it is a place where only original art is going to be sold. So no pattern base, no kit based, fair trade. It's all original artwork that's made by artists and sold there, and gives them a platform to expand their business and their exposure. Third Sunday every month, June through October, fingers crossed, we'll be doing it again this year. We have everything in place to have the art market go. We are just hoping that now with the current COVID situation that will still move forward. But we've been very fortunate to be able to partner with different organizations. We put original artwork in the workplace of 13 plus locations in Kenosha, and including the state capitol, our legislators' offices. We 4 times a year we will hang original artwork, and people have really understood the employee benefit of having original artwork in their workplace. And so that's a program we started, probably about 14 years ago, 15 years ago. We call it ArtCore, and these places will either pay us or do something in kind. And so some of our printing costs are underwritten by by Minuteman Press, who has our artwork on exhibit there. And so it's been a really good experience for all of us.
I'm exhausted.
I kind of just rambled, so.
Okay, so your staff is small. Who's in charge of the new Union Park Art Market? Who physically is? I know how much work it is to deliver and hang artwork and change artwork, and who's responsible for all of these different? Holy smokes.
Well, along with some very good volunteers. So we have, I am the director, so I oversee all of what happens for that. Many times my husband and I are schlepping artwork to Madison, and we're installing there, or at Cava, or at Jockey, or, all these different areas. And yeah, it's writing up the calendar for classes and working with the instructors. And the art market is really a collaborative effort between Union Park Tavern,
okay,
Marge at Revision, and Melanie Hobie and Jane Herring and I. We kind of are the core of it. We have a new young woman who has joined us in our organization in organizing the art market, who is a recent Parkside graduate. And she was, we worked with her in a class that she was taking, in which they were doing a community business program, and we had tasked this class group to come up with a marketing plan and a logo for our art market. And she enjoyed the project so much that she's continued on with us even after graduating. And so Sarah Ratliff is an amazing young woman who is one to watch. So
okay. Now, if I was an artist and I wanted to be in Lemon Street Gallery, what's the process for that?
That's a very good question. So we are a juried exhibiting space. So we have a jury team, and depending on the medium that you have, we have different people who are experts in that area. So we don't have jewelers during the work of an oil painter. We stay within that medium. So the first thing is to submit an application and examples of your work, 3 to 5 pieces. We do then have the jury team review it. And upon acceptance, then you commit for at least a year. We have membership dues that our artists pay, $250 a year.
Okay.
And then we pay 80% of sales back to our artists. And so they are responsible to change out their artwork. We have a big changeover day 4 times a year. And at that point, we take all the artwork off the walls, and then we put up brand new artwork. And the artwork that comes down can either go back home with them, or it can be part of our traveling or rotating art that we hang at other locations.
So do you find that, do you need help? Do you need more staff and you don't have the funding for that? Or between the volunteers and the staff that you have now, is everything fairly functional then?
We can always use more volunteers. We can always use more staff. We have a pretty thin operating budget. So we like to be able to take advantage of volunteers when we can. It's always difficult, and that's one challenge of mine is that I feel like I don't like to um, waste people's time. So if I don't want to have 14 volunteers show up for a 1 hour job, or it is all the trick in managing that part of it. So like a volunteer coordinator would be a big help.
And there's a skill to that, definitely. You're working with all different personalities and you're trying to get something done. And, these are people who are volunteering. So there's always that
Right.
respectfulness of their time and all of that. So are we putting the word out there that if there is a person who has some experience with volunteer groups or helping out with that, you could always use help for somebody who could actually head that up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, it is. There are a lot of people who want to do something to help. And there are a lot of people, and that is just an amazing Midwest trait I think that we have. And it is the magic of, again, pairing those people to the right slot or right thing. Um, we don't want the 85-year-old guy volunteering to paint the stairs, and it's like, so we want people to be able to do the things that suit them best.
And how does somebody know where you have these needs?
We do have on our website, which is lemonstreetgallery.org, not com.org. We have different areas on the website that do talk about volunteering and volunteer opportunities that we have. There is actually an application so that we can try and match up different tasks or areas to an individual and know what hours and what times they are available.
Okay, great, great. So aside from your regular everyday challenges, before the pandemic hit, what what has changed for you? Of course, there is the obvious, but
Right.
what's going on now?
Well, I think the most difficult thing for us now is because we do our scheduling for both our classes and our exhibits, because we have a dedicated gallery space called the Brick Gallery in which we have a monthly exhibit. Those exhibits are scheduled out a year in advance, and so now we've had to very much change that schedule, and that has been a real challenge to contact both the artists are planning on having this exhibit,
Mm,
and so they've been working on a body of work for months,
yeah.
and now it's something different, and the advertising and the that we've done to promote these shows has really had to change. So that's been a challenge. Is just kind of is coordinating that. Our classes, you know, again, it is contacting people who have signed up for the classes and to refund them or reschedule, or that has been a big challenge for us. We have a outside exhibit, collaborative exhibit that we had intended on launching May 3rd, which is it's called We Vote, and we've worked together with the library system staff and our artists to create this traveling exhibit out of library drawers that will depict something that commemorates the ratification of the women's rights to vote. So
Oh,
that
you
is
mean like card catalog drawers? What do you
yeah,
mean library? Like the
card
old card catalogs?
Yes, yes. So it's a very fun exhibit. We have 18 drawers that are put together, and that will launch at the gallery, and then we have different locations in which it is committed to be seen throughout the year. So that has been, and that so now we have that to kind of shuffle around. So
Oh,
it's been
okay.
interesting,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so hard to shift, and for a lot of businesses that really might not have done a lot of business online before. Art is one of those things that I think is extremely hard for people to really see it and enjoy it and purchase it online. Have you noticed that you have been able to purchase, that people are purchasing online?
No, we are not set up to do that on our website. It for many businesses, and I'm sure you know too, not just for nonprofits, but there is a whole different platform for sales that is required in a software package and for your liability, and it's a whole different animal.
Mhm.
What we have done is that we are taken to a virtual gallery on social media. So we have a member who has volunteered to do this every day, in which she highlights a different artist with their artist statement and examples of their work, and we're posting that on Facebook and on Instagram. And so trying to keep ourselves relevant in the social media world, and so that when we can reopen, everybody will be very familiar with our artists.
Right, right, right. Yes, I've seen those posts, and I like to, I like the bio, the little information that goes with them. I'm finding now, it used to be where people, had a very short attention span. And so, I mean, even for art stuff, you would just maybe show the artwork, but all of us, and I don't know if it's just the trend of our society, or if because we do have a little bit more time now, because our lives have slowed down, that we want to dig in a little bit more. And we're actually a very thoughtful society right now. We're meaning thoughtful, that we are analyzing more, thinking about things more. So to be able to read a bio from the artist's
Mhm.
voice, I thought was very, very interesting and refreshing to be able to see that.
Your life can become very busy, and if you're scrolling and it looks like too much text, you just skip right over it. But you're right. I think we've kind of taken that. We've got more time to be able to digest more than a sentence or two. So
And
and it
so,
might be important in the near future for people to be familiar with artist statements. We're cooking up an idea for a fundraiser that may involve eliminating artist names and having only their artist statement as a guide to the piece of work. So, and there's some things we're kicking around, but
Beth,
you
you could do like a voice kind of a thing where you would literally, you wouldn't even know the artwork. And you
right. That's
read
what
the statement and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I love the philosophy behind this, or I love this. And then that would be, you wouldn't even know what the art looks like. Is that what you're thinking?
we're thinking of, like having the piece covered with maybe a small reveal space,
I
and then
love
art
it.
statement, and then you would be able to purchase. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And then you know what you should be able to do at the end? You should be able to do some trading too.
Right, yeah. Like the ornament exchange or something.
Oh my gosh, that would be a gas. That would be so much fun. You could even sell tickets to it. I mean, it could be an event and you could sell virtual tickets, and your ticket gets you entry into it.
Have you been reading my mind lately?
Yeah.
We've been on those lines, yeah.
So I don't want to have too many specific details, but just from a financial standpoint, there are small businesses that just can't seem to hang on, or are really, really struggling. Lemon Street, I'm assuming that because you said your operating budget was so small, you haven't gotten any funding, but you're able to kind of hang tight until this opens up.
We are. Definitely we're going to have lost revenue. We have hard costs, rent, utilities, minimal payroll.
Just like anybody.
Right. We're in a good position. I mean, because again, we've been around for a while. We're not going anywhere. We're good and solid. But it is that lost revenue. It is some of that that we don't have the ability to recover. We are small enough so that we don't qualify for the payroll protection program grant that is out there. We were shy about $50. So it's like, that was very heartbreaking. We are a nonprofit, so we don't qualify for some of the small business program loans that are out there. Our financial doesn't participate in the grant or in the loan dispersal programs either. So it's been a real struggle. We have a fabulous board member team that is looking into different options, and they've been running through the different CARES Act programs that are available. But it's difficult. It's going to be a nasty looking year, not just for us, but for a lot of businesses. So,
is there anything that the layperson could do to support Lemon Street at this time, since you're not really selling anything online?
We always accept donations, and if you go to our website, lemonstreetgallery.org, you'll find ample opportunities to donate. That is always something to. So it is every penny is helpful. We don't receive any state or federal funding, period. So it is all we have. We have a stream. Our income stream is primarily membership dues, art sales, and classes, and that's where we generate our income from. And they've always been very well diversified, so that we've got a good solid mix of income streams. But when all but one of those goes away, it makes it way more lean.
Yeah. Have you had artists, not wanting to or not able to pay their membership fees, or, you open up a huge can of worms like that when you're not open. And
Right. And our board we are having virtual discussions about some of the membership dues relief that we might be able to provide for members. We're actually right in the middle of drafting that information right now. So, because we do understand, these are lean times for everybody. So, whatever we can do to help mitigate that for our members is important. We're a family.
Can you think of any victories or silver linings from all of this?
Our silver linings. Well, I think it has really been good for our board of directors, because this has given them a real good project to come together and work as a group more solidly, and that I think has been very good. I think this will, for our artists, give them the opportunity to really focus on artwork and be very self-reflective and work on a body of work that will be unlike any other, because this is a time unlike any other. And I think that has been good. So
have you even thought of a COVID-19 theme type show after this?
We have. We have. And I don't know where that will go. I mean, we never make our exhibits themed mandatorily, because some people feel one way or another about it. So it is certainly something that I think is a great opportunity for our artists to take advantage of, having this as an experience. And yet I know there are some people who have become very unmotivated as well. You would think that there is, I've got a list of home chores, like one day, when I've got the time, I'm going to do these things, and it's still there. So it's crazy.
That is very interesting. I know, even from my own experience, I found when the store was in a slow time, it was a great opportunity to get a lot of those things done that you you never had time for, or maybe the energy. But once that energy level starts to lower, it almost seems like that motivation level can also start to lower.
Yep.
The other thing too, Beth, is because I think as a nation we are always in such a hurry that we're on that treadmill, that a lot of us maybe just need a little bit of time to sort of detox from that lifestyle. So I always thought if somebody needed that, take a full week, take yourself, give yourself some grace and take that time and replenish. I know as a creative, you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna
Mhm.
paint today. You can't schedule that creativity. I learned that. It's hard. I really come from more of the commercial end of art, and I I I am not a fine artist by trade, and I realize that artists cannot just produce work on on a schedule. I mean,
On
it's
command. Yeah, yeah, right, right. I think of this as the big, everybody pressing that big red reset button, and then just do that, and then when it's pops back up, you'll know where you need to be. So.
Mhm. Right. And it'll be interesting where everybody comes out of this. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, it really will. I think there will be people who will come out so strong from some of that reflection, or having the time to do things and explore things that they didn't.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to that, actually. So we've got just a couple more questions. Again, I thank you so much for taking the time, to
I
talk
could
to
talk
me
all day long,
today.
so
You
I
could
could
talk
talk
all.
about this thing forever.
I know. We probably should talk more often. We're both on the same wavelength here, I think, with some of these ideas.
I think so.
Here's a tough question.
Okay.
So, what would you tell somebody who wants to open up a nonprofit business?
Oh, that's not a tough question. That's easy. The key, I think, is in building relationships and working with like organizations. I know people talk about the silos and how, I can operate my business or my nonprofit, and I do what I do and this is all that I do. And you need to really, there's so much power in this. We're better together. I know it's a coined phrase that gets overused, but it definitely is. It is working with, or just talking with, building a relationship with another like organization, or a mutual organization, somebody who is interested in what you do. Um, it's not that difficult to become a nonprofit, but you do want to think it out and do some research ahead of time. Um, we when we started, Artist Gallery in Racine is a year older than we are, and they were very helpful to us
Okay.
in writing our articles of incorporation, of thinking about, you talk about a business plan for a for-profit company. It's the same kind of thing. You want to have this sort of vision, and what can you do to support that vision. On our website, lemonstreetgallery.org, we have our bylaws are right on our website. If anybody is interested in, on thinking about how to, again, start a nonprofit or to be part of it, go there. There's a lot of resources. Call me. We'll talk anytime. I mean, and I have done that. We've mentored smaller organizations, Artie Pie and Waukegan, and you talk to people about, I've got this idea. What do you think? And that's how you do it. And that's how we did it. That's how folks that have successful nonprofits do it. So build relationships, big part.
And I think that I do have to say, I think that the relationships between really all of the businesses, nonprofit or for profit, have worked pretty hard on trying to do that. I mean, I always felt there was a day where it was kind of hard for people to, you know, to, I I don't even know what the word is, but I find that there's a nice community right now going on, and my hat's off to you for reaching out and also being a big part of the community, not just your own small community, but
Mhm. Well, I think I think it's important, and I think that if people have, I mean, certainly there's going to be businesses or organizations that are going to have their best interests at heart, and that's not to say don't do things that don't support your mission, don't do things that don't aren't good for you at the sake of somebody else's. And that's why you have to talk, that's why you have to have a relationship and to work together to better each other, and it's possible. We don't, the egos are everywhere, and people have to just get over it. I have, I think.
well, I always felt is, being in the arts, that the more arts, the better. In
Mhm.
my opinion, I think that people will appreciate it more. There's so many different artists. There's so many different styles. There's it's just endless. So to be to not be able and want to work together, I find that people have their own style anyhow. It didn't really matter. You had your own, and sometimes there was a little bit of crossover. I always wanted, if it was an artist with me, I always would like them to be exclusive with us. I'm sure that it's the same way for you, but there are a lot of talent, like you said, a lot of
There,
talent.
there is, and I think of it always as like the Highway 20 in Racine, where you have all the different car dealerships. Well, that works because it's Ford, Toyota, Honda, whatever. If they were all a Ford dealership, it wouldn't work. So you don't want to have every place be the same. Everybody, each of the galleries in town, or in the world, I would say smaller, have their own personality, and that's what makes it work.
I love
And
that analogy. I think that's
yeah,
great. I think that's great. So my last question to you, and it can be anything. If you had a wish, what would it be? If you could make a wish.
if I could make a wish for Lemon Street or for the world.
Anything. Any wish you want. Your
Well,
wish is my command.
because we're shamelessly promoting Lemon Street Gallery, which I love. If I had any wish in the world for them, would be to be able to have a bigger space. We're really, we have a lovely space, but to be able to expand our classes, to expand our exhibit space, to be able to have community exhibits outside of our membership, would be amazing. We are always, like elbowing to try and get, the classes just right, and so if we had just, so anybody with a big empty building who's listening to this right now, um, consider a donation to Lemon Street
Oh,
Gallery.
there may be some big box stores at some point.
There might be.
Oh, so more space. I did not realize that.
We could always use more space. I feel like, yeah, we're stepping on top of each other when we're doing classes or whatever. So,
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I wish you the best,
thank you.
and I wish that everything can start moving again.
I hope so.
I think that, yeah, I think as a society we are used to being productive, and I think it's about time, hopefully, that we can kind of get going again, and we'll see what happens.
All right. I think we're on the verge of greatness. So, we just need to keep that momentum. So,
Thank
as a
you
community.
so much. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Nope, I'm good, I think. So,
Excellent, excellent. Thanks for taking the time with me, Beth.
thank you for the chat. I appreciate it.